Hi, Angie.
Hi, Francesca.
I'm so excited because you are coming with your group to my office for Kirtan. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could talk about um, a couple things. I know that you're a yoga instructor and an artist. How did you go into Kirtan, and could you share a little bit about what is Kirtan?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So, um, I've I've been an artist like my whole life, like a visual artist, and so I've always felt connected to creativity in that way. And then I played with, learned about yoga while I was in college, when in college studying art. Really loved the movement and the physical practice of it. And in the very first yoga class I ever took in college, the yoga teacher chanted and taught the Gayatri mantra. And
Mm.
in the first instant of hearing that mantra, I was like, I need this. Like, what is this? And I need it. And I remember just like having to memorize it and learn it. And, then, I got married and had kids and life sort of veered away from all that. And I did some yoga while I was pregnant. But then when my eldest was very, very sick, when she was 3 and she nearly died, I had a hard time feeling like the world was safe. And yoga put my pieces back together. Somebody in town offered a yoga class. I signed up and I was really discombobulated before going to yoga. And I didn't want to leave my little girl who was crying, didn't want me to leave, but I went anyways. And when I came back, I was so much better. I was so much calmer. Everything felt right. And I was like, I don't know what's happening, but it's amazing. And I need to know more. So I
Mm.
decided I wanted to become a yoga teacher.
Mhm.
And what people don't usually realize is that's so much more than just postures. There's so much more to it. And I always got into it for the spirituality that
Mhm.
is an essential component of it. And
Mhm.
and I started chanting more because I was learning more chants. And I just kept chanting and chanting. And then I started going to Kirtan, going to other people doing Kirtan. And
Mhm.
I was like, this is amazing. I just love everything about this. And
Mhm.
I left feeling even better than I did after a yoga class. So I would listen to Kirtan music in my home all the time. And I was teaching at a studio in Claremont, and the owner of the studio wanted to put on a grand opening event. She said, "Oh, do you know anybody who leads kirtan? I think that could be a fun thing." And I was like, "I don't know where the idea came from, but it popped in my brain. I could do it." And Josh is a musician. I'm married to a musician who has studied and trained in music. He's well versed in music. I
Mhm.
was not. I just love chanting. And I said, maybe you could help me put together a kirtan. You want to do it? And he was like, oh, sure, let's give it a go. And we spent some time practicing and putting something together. And when we led this event at this yoga studio, we packed the house. There was like 50 people in there. It was a little space. I looked over at him and he was having the best time of his life. And it's been a wild ride ever since. We just kept doing it. So kirtan is chanting, it's call and response. It's a component of yoga, the bhakti path. Bhakti is about devotion, it's about realizing your connection to something much bigger than the self. I always
Mhm.
say there's little s self and big S self. It's connection with the big S self. So it's usually Sanskrit chants
Mhm.
um, that are sung in a call and response fashion. And there's a lot of music and drums. And so that, so there's somebody leading the chant and people recall the line back. And often then at some point, everybody's just singing together. So
Mhm.
it ends up being a very joyous, uplifting experience. So I don't know if
So
that answers or.
yeah, yeah, I was kinda curious because I never knew how long you've been doing it or how you even got into it. So thank you. Um, how does the kirtan, because I have a private practice, as you know, I ask people to do chanting at home, a lot of my clients, not everybody. But in a group, how is it different than just doing it singularly?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, both are potent. The chants, the mantras are going to work with this vibrational quality through your subtle body, your energetic body, by speaking them, by thinking them, by writing them, any way that you're engaged with them in your mind, they will start to do the work that I call like scrubbing out from the inside.
Mm, okay.
So doing them alone in your own home and space is, I think, absolutely essential, right? It's like just part of the daily practice. When you come together in a group, like dials up the energy of that. And it's
Mm,
not just your body chanting, it's all the bodies chanting. So in mantra practice, it's in the number of repetitions you do is important. Like the more repetitions you do, the more powerful the mantra becomes. So even just one repetition is going to be powerful, but the more you add, the more it amplifies. And so when you have lots of people together all doing it, it's like you get the benefits of all those people doing it. And so that number of repetitions just increases. And then like the little soul space in your body connects to the soul space in somebody else's body,
mm,
and you remember that we're all connected. So it is definitely more powerful, I'll say, not to say that it isn't powerful to chant on your own, because
mhm,
it is,
mhm.
but it's definitely a little different experience.
Yeah, that's been my experience. So I'm wondering also, if somebody's shy, would they still and don't wanna sing if they're here in my office or in a group, would they still, do you know, receive the benefit of the subtle body of the chants that's in the room? Would they still receive the benefit if they're a little shy and don't know, if they can
Ah,
say their chant or
that's a great question. I love that question because absolutely, because the words will go through the mind, right? And I said you can
Mm,
think about the words and they'll have an effect. So the fact that you're hearing them and being in the vibrational space of those sounds
mm,
will create the same shift, the same scrubbing out. I always think mantras are kind of like scrubbing out inside, like you're brushing your teeth, or it's like sandpaper, it's like sanding things out and like smooths out the
yeah,
edges and cleans out the goo. So whether you're hearing them or reading them or any level, they're going to do the work they need to do.
wonderful. And so how long are your kirtans?
Yeah, so when we do them, we're usually doing them for 90 minutes. You can do them. I've heard of 24-hour kirtans. There's a ashram we're connected with in India. They're going to do this chanting for a whole month straight. So what that means is like people are going to start the chant, and then when somebody else is leading, so the chanting
Wow.
will never end. Somebody
Wow.
will always be chanting it for a whole month.
Wow.
Imagine that. Imagine that potency.
Wow. That must change the plants or the animal everything around that room, I would think.
Everything.
Yeah,
Everything. Yeah.
very good.
And there are
Well,
some places in India where they have been doing different chants like that nonstop for hundreds of years. Somebody
wow,
has always been there leading that chant, and then the next person comes in and just takes over. Mhm.
really? Well, because I know you and Josh were in India several years ago.
Yeah, and we visited one of those sites where the Hare Krishna, the Maha Mantra is always chanted in one of these temples. Somebody's always chanting it. It's powerful.
Wow. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, so you're here in my office, October 25th, Friday at 7 p.m. And if people don't know where my office is, they can look it up or email me or text me or whatever. And then how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can reach out at my email, which is Angie, Angie, J Studios, Jaistudios, jstudios.com, or
Okay,
order my website, angiefollensbeehall.com, and they can get in touch with me that way.
great. Okay, I'm super excited.
Yeah,
So
me
thank
too.
you for coming into my office.
Absolutely. We're excited to be with you again. It's been a long time. We
Yeah,
miss it, so we're happy to be back
yeah,
at it.
okay. Anything else you wanna add?
Yeah, I don't know. I just encourage people, even if they're shy. I know a lot of people will say, like, oh, I don't know, I don't sing, like I don't want to
Yeah,
sing. Right. And so I would say you should go anyways because you don't have to sing. Nobody's gonna force you, but um you might learn or realize that you have an important voice and an important contribution. And it's changed my life. I see it changes people's lives all the time.
mhm, mhm, yep. Some of the things I've heard from clients who are consistent and committed to their private home practice, is they feel more grounded, more centered in their bodies. So that's huge. Yeah. Most of us are out there in the world, just the energy is usually going out. And so when I hear people saying they're going in, it's really heartwarming.
It's so wonderful. I
Hmm.
honestly, I think it's the most important practice that we do.
Yeah.
One.
It is, it is. So I'm super excited. Thank you.
Two, yay.
All right. I'll see you later.